The world watched. Eyes were glued to screens, hearts pounding with anticipation. From bustling cities to quiet villages, people gathered, united by a shared sense of history in the making. The Catholic Church held its breath. In churches and cathedrals, in homes and public squares, the faithful prayed for guidance, for hope, for a leader who would steer them through the challenges of the modern world. A new era was dawning. The first rays of sunlight bathed St. Peter's Square in a golden glow, symbolizing the promise of renewal and transformation. From the heart of the Vatican, a historic announcement: Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, Archbishop of Manila, was elected the 267th Pope of the Catholic Church. The white smoke signaled a new beginning, a beacon of hope for millions. The news reverberated around the globe, headlines blared, social media buzzed, and conversations sparked in every corner of the world. This was not just a religious event, it was a global phenomenon. A son of Asia, a champion of the poor, a man known for his humility and compassion, now held the keys to St. Peter. His journey from the streets of Manila to the halls of the Vatican inspired countless souls. Hope blossomed in the hearts of millions. The election of Pope Tagle was more than a change in leadership. It was a symbol of inclusivity, a sign that the Church was embracing its diverse and dynamic future. This was a moment unlike any other. Time seemed to stand still as the world collectively held its breath, waiting to see what this new chapter would bring. Not since the 16th century had a non-European ascended to the papacy. This was a monumental shift, a break from centuries of tradition and a step towards a more inclusive future. The election of Pope Tagle was a seismic shift, a testament to the Church's growing presence in the global South. It was a recognition of the vibrant faith communities that flourished far from the traditional centers of power. The world waited with bated breath, eager to witness the impact of this extraordinary choice. As the new Pope stepped forward, the air was thick with anticipation, and the promise of a brighter, more inclusive future hung in the balance. The ancient rituals of the papal conclave unfolded within the hallowed halls of the Vatican. Cardinals from around the world, princes of the Church, gathered in solemn assembly, their task to elect a successor to Pope Francis. Days turned into nights. The world watched and prayed. Then on a crisp spring afternoon it happened. From the chimney atop the Sistine Chapel, a plume of white smoke ascended into the sky. The bells of St. Peter's Basilica pealed, announcing the news to Rome and to the world. Habemus papam, we have a pope. A collective gasp arose from the throngs gathered in St. Peter's Square. Anticipation hung thick in the air. Who would it be? Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a man of deep faith and unwavering humility, had captured the hearts of the Catholic world. Born in Manila, the Philippines, he rose through the ranks of the Church, his intellect and compassion shining brightly. His theological roots ran deep. He earned his doctorate from the Catholic University of America, his mind honed by rigorous study. But it was his pastoral heart that truly set him apart. He served as Archbishop of Manila, shepherding his flock with love and understanding. He championed the cause of the poor and marginalized, his voice a powerful advocate for justice and mercy. The world soon came to know Pope Tagle as a man of the people. His warmth and humility transcended language and culture. He possessed a rare ability to connect with people from all walks of life, making them feel seen and heard. His homilies were renowned for their simplicity and depth. He spoke of God's love in a way that touched the heart and stirred the soul. He challenged the faithful to live lives of service and compassion, to be beacons of hope in a world often shrouded in darkness. His leadership style was one of collaboration and dialogue. He believed in the power of listening, of building bridges of understanding and respect. He was a unifier, seeking to heal divisions and foster a spirit of unity within the Church and beyond. The world erupted in celebration. It was a moment that transcended borders and cultures, uniting people in a shared sense of joy and hope. The election of Pope Tagle was not just a religious event, it was a global phenomenon that brought together millions of hearts and minds. From the bustling streets of Manila, where the air was filled with the sounds of laughter and music, to the towering skyscrapers of New York City, where people gathered in Times Square to share in the momentous occasion, people rejoiced at the election of Pope Tagle. His election was seen as a beacon of hope, a sign of positive change and a new direction for the Catholic Church. It was a moment of profound joy and hope for Catholics around the world. Church bells pealed in celebration, their echoes resonating through cities and villages alike. Fireworks lit up the night sky, painting it with vibrant colors and filling the air with the sounds of jubilation. Spontaneous celebrations broke out in cities and villages across the globe. The Catholic faithful, their hearts filled with gratitude and anticipation, gathered in churches and cathedrals, their faces reflecting the joy and hope that this new chapter promised. They came together to offer prayers of thanksgiving, their voices rising in a harmonious chorus of faith and devotion. In these sacred spaces, they sought God's blessings on the new pontificate, hoping for guidance and wisdom for Pope Tagle. With candles in hand and hearts full of hope, they prayed for a future filled with peace and understanding. World leaders, too, joined in the chorus of congratulations. They recognized the significance of this moment, hailing Pope Tagle as a man of peace and a powerful advocate for social justice. His reputation as a compassionate leader preceded him, and many saw his election as a chance to address pressing global issues. They expressed their hope that his papacy would usher in an era of greater understanding and cooperation among nations. As the world looked on, there was a collective sense of anticipation for the positive changes that Pope Tagle's leadership could bring, not just to the Catholic Church, but to the world at large. Asia's embrace. Nowhere was the joy more palpable than in Asia, the birthplace of the new Pope. From the Philippines to South Korea, from Vietnam to India, people celebrated this historic moment with a sense of immense pride and jubilation. In the Philippines, where Catholicism runs deep, the nation erupted in a frenzy of joy. People poured onto the streets, their faces aglow with pride. This was their son, a man who had risen from humble beginnings to become the leader of the Catholic Church. Across Asia, the election of Pope Tagle was seen as a sign of the Church's growing presence and influence in the region. It was a moment of validation, a recognition of the vibrancy and dynamism of Asian Catholicism, a shepherd's vision. Pope Tagle embarked on his papacy with a clear vision to build a more inclusive, compassionate, and united church. From the very beginning, he made it clear that his mission was to reach out to every corner of society, ensuring that no one felt left out or forgotten. His approach was characterized by a deep sense of empathy and a genuine desire to understand the struggles and hopes of the people he served. He called for a church that was truly a home for all, a place where the poor and marginalized felt welcomed and loved. His visits to homeless shelters and marginalized communities were not just symbolic gestures, but a testament to his commitment to living out the gospel's call to serve the least among us. He listened to their stories, shared in their pain, and offered them hope. He spoke out against the scourge of poverty, inequality, and injustice. His speeches were often filled with a passionate plea for social justice, urging the faithful to take action and make a difference in their communities. He believed that the Church could not remain silent in the face of suffering, and that it had a moral duty to advocate for those who had no voice. He challenged the faithful to be instruments of God's mercy and compassion in the world, to reach out to those in need and to work for the common good. His message was clear: faith without action is empty. He encouraged people to live out their faith through acts of kindness, generosity, and solidarity with the less fortunate. He emphasized the importance of dialogue and encounter, of building bridges of understanding and respect between people of different faiths and cultures. He believed that through open and honest dialogue, it was possible to overcome misunderstandings and build a more harmonious world. His efforts in interfaith dialogue were aimed at fostering mutual respect and cooperation. He believed that the Church had a vital role to play in promoting peace and reconciliation in a world often torn by conflict and division. His vision was one of a global community where peace and justice prevailed, and where every individual, regardless of their background, could live in dignity and harmony. Through his actions and words, Pope Tagle inspired many to work towards this noble goal, towards a horizon of unity. The challenges facing the Church were many and complex. The world was grappling with issues of poverty, inequality, climate change, and religious intolerance. But Pope Tagle, with his unwavering faith and his commitment to dialogue and compassion, offered a message of hope and a path forward. He called for a renewed commitment to the gospel message of love, mercy, and forgiveness. He urged the faithful to be agents of healing and reconciliation in a world wounded by division and strife. He emphasized the importance of listening to the voices of the marginalized and the excluded, of those who felt forgotten or left behind. He believed that the Church had a moral imperative to stand in solidarity with the poor, the oppressed, and the voiceless, a legacy of hope. The election of Pope Tagle marked a new chapter in the long and storied history of the Catholic Church. It was a moment of profound significance, a sign that the Church was evolving and adapting to a changing world. His papacy was characterized by a spirit of inclusivity, compassion, and global unity. He sought to build bridges of understanding and respect between people of different faiths and cultures, believing that dialogue and encounter were essential for building a more just and peaceful world. His legacy, like the gentle ripple that spreads across a still pond, would be one of hope, of a church that was truly a home for all, a church that was a beacon of light and love in a world often shrouded in darkness. Please subscribe to our channel History Documentary Hub for more insightful videos and intriguing content.